In this essay, I'm going to compare and contrast how different media covers the Black Lives Matter movement. I will analyze their different reporting methods and messages on the movement by watching and reading various news coverage of each media. From the notorious shooting of Trayvon Martin in 2012 to the murder of Eric Garner in 2017, activists have band together to represent and fight for the equal treatment of African Americans in a social movement known today as Black Lives Matters. But what is Black Lives Matters and what do they stand for? Essentially, Black Lives Matter is described by its members as being a peaceful, nonviolent movement dedicated to fighting against the social injustice of African Americans. At first mention of the movement, many would assume Black Lives Matter is uniting and maybe even revolutionary. However, in the 7 years of its existence, the movement has not gone without great controversy. It seems as though the media outlets all over the nation have their own opinions, bias, and even stereotypes on what they think Black Lives Matter really is about. Over the past 7 years, we the people have witnessed different news outlets battle to protect or destroy the integrity and legitimacy of the movement. Not only has the media battled over the integrity and legitimacy, but also on the importance of the movement and where it should be placed on the public agenda. On September 18, 2017, a few days after the officers who killed Eric Garner were acquitted, Fox News reporter Tommy Loren released a piece titled Another City, Another Riot. In this piece, Loren blames all violent and destructive behavior during a St. Louis protest on the entire Black Lives Matter movement, repeatedly attempting to discredit its members by calling them thugs and claiming that the movement is unfit to even be called a social justice movement. Loren's aim is to paint members of the movement as violent criminals in an attempt to raise this quote unquote issue to the top of the public agenda in order to rally the public against Black Lives Matters. I observed Loren to be extremely emotionally charged during her piece, not necessarily providing facts, but taking the actions of a few members of the protest out of context of what Black Lives Matter really stands for. Loren is not the only reporter at Fox News whose bias is largely against Black Lives Matter. On August 31st, 2017, Tucker Carlson evaluates an article by Black Lives Matter's ambassador Chanel Helms, intended to outline how to get rid of racism. Carlson belittles the article and discredits the writer. Carlson even goes further to express his views on Black Lives Matter by interviewing a supporter and says, and I quote, "I'm trying to take you seriously, but I can't." When analyzing Carlson's piece, I again recognize a similar emotional charge and lack of evidence. He repeatedly cuts off the Black Lives Matter supporter in the interview in an attempt to disregard the supporter and the movement as a whole. By doing this, he attempts to set the importance of Black Lives Matter very low on the public agenda, subliminally asking the public to ignore the movement because he deems it insignificant. Both of these reporters still work for Fox News, and both of their pieces were featured at the top of the list when I searched Black Lives Matters on the Fox News website. This highlights the obvious bias that Fox News has over Black Lives Matters, as it attempts to paint the movement as a violent and unimportant protest. Despite the negative views of Fox News against Black Lives Matters, their viewpoint is only one side of the coin in the media. On December 28, 2015, Sarah Sandler from CNN published an article titled The Rise of Black Lives Matters. Contrary to Fox News, Sandler shows her bias by painting Black Lives Matters in a much more triumphant light. However, I noticed she still manages to stay very neutral by highlighting how the public is positively responding to the movement. By highlighting how the public responds, Sandler sets the movement higher on the public agenda. Sandler goes on in her article to explain the violence during Black Lives Matter protests, stating that the movement is making a concerted effort not to encourage violence. These are the exact opposite claims of Fox News and paints Black Lives Matter into a much more positive light. As I further analyzed the article, I observed that Sandler did a great job not including her personal bias and providing a viewpoint from all perspectives in order for the viewer to take the best position. Sandler again is not the only reporter who views Black Lives Matter in a positive light. On October 23, 2015, Amanda Sakuma, a reporter from MSNBC, published an article titled Black Lives Matter, a Political Force to be Reckoned with. In her short article, Sakuma describes Black Lives Matter not only as a social movement but as a political force. With this simple change in wording, Sakuma boosts the credibility of the movement, and by doing so sets the support of the movement at the top of the public agenda. Sakuma goes on further to add even more credibility to the movement by adding a quote from President Barack Obama justifying and supporting the cause. With the added support of such a notorious figure, viewers are more likely to stand behind the movement and place it at the top of their public agenda. In conclusion, I was able to observe the different ways media and news outlets attempted to control the public agenda for Black Lives Matter. I discovered that outlets such as Fox News are generally opinion based and rely on insults and slander to control the narrative of a subject, whereas outlets such as CNN and MSNBC do a great job at using factual information and credible references in order to steer public opinion. Due to my research and observations, I plan to be more aware of what outlet I'm getting my information from and to keep it in mind what their intention is behind how they present their information.